Welcome to the Eden Podcast, where we true the verse of Genesis 3:16, and we discover that God didn't curse Eve or Adam or limit woman in any way.
Welcome to the Eden Podcast. I'm Bruce C.E. Fleming, Executive Director of the True 316 Foundation. Our website is tru316.com. That's true316.com. And today we have a very special set of guests all the way from Kinshasa and Congo. And Jim Snyder is here with us also as our translator and friend. So good to see you, Jim. And Pastor Selenga, and soon Claudine. So I would like to, let's try this translation process, but I'm going to ask Pastor Selenga to tell us a little bit about the Tabitha Center project. A number of years ago in Congo, I heard about the start of this Tabitha Center ministry. And I said, this is something I think that the listeners to the Eden Podcast would be very, very interested in. And so I'm just going to simply say that I have here a little show and tell. Mm-hmm. This is handiwork from the ladies over at the Tabitha Center. And happy to have this in hand. So, moninga nangai, pesa biso histoire na Tabitha Center, s'il vous plaît.
Merci mingi Fleming, pona kopesa ngai opportunité na kopesa mo histoire na Tabitha epai na yo.
Thank you very much, Bruce, for this opportunity to share a little bit about the history of the Tabitha Center ministry.
2009, ngai na mwasi na ngai tozalaki invité kozala ba missionnaire na Reach Global, pourquoi ba premier africain.
In 2009, my wife and I were invited to become Reach Global missionaries. It was the first time that an African had been asked to do so.
Ezalaki juste sima na deux termes na biso lokola président na église évangélique na Congo, pe koaki tozonga na Kinshasa pona kovanda kuna kobanda mosala na biso.
This took place right after the second term, or the completion of the second term, as the president of the Free Church denomination in Congo. And so my wife and I decided it would be best for the ministry that we move to Kinshasa.
Na Kinshasa, nazali kosala ba formation pe misala ndenge na ndenge pe kosala voyage mingi pona tango wana pe nazalaki directeur na Reach Africa kasi mwasi azalaki na mosala penza te.
At that time, I was very busy, involved in a lot of training and development of church leaders, and even spent a lot of time training as the director of Reach Africa. My wife, on the other hand, was not very busy at all.
Me azali kokamata soin na famille na biso na bana eza mosala na tina kasi alingaki kozala parti penza na misa na biso oyo Nzambe abengi biso pona yango na Kinshasa.
So she was obviously very busy with their 6 children, and that's obviously not a something to be overlooked, but at the same time she wanted to be engaged in something that would connect her to ministry there in Kinshasa.
Me na esika tovandaki eza na Kinshasa tobengi yango ete commune na Bandal, eza esika na makele mwa mingi pe toza na ba voisin oyo bana bango bazali kotambola, eza bana basi kotambola butu mobimba pe kozonga 2h30 to 3h du matin.
So we lived in the community of Bandal. It's short for Bandalungwa. It's a place there in Kinshasa, and it's a very noisy, busy area of the city. One thing that they began to realize is that around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, local girls were returning home, knocking on doors of their houses to gain entry into their yards of their own homes.
Ndenge bazali kobeta porte na baboti na bango ezali bobele kotungisa baboti te me tozoyoka bruit na kobeta porte presque chaque jour pe bana kotungisa biso.
So when they started pounding on the doors, it not only woke up the parents, it woke up all the neighbors, us included, and we were getting a little frustrated hearing all of this happening at 2:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning every single day.
Na mibale mwasi na ngai abandaki kotala mpe télévision lokola azala mwana temps mingi un peu libre kokamata soin na bana azali kotala télévision mpe toza na chaîne moko na Kinshasa libo na télévision totangi yango ete Kinshasa makambo.
So my wife was busy, obviously, again, raising the kids, but at the same time, had vast amount of time where she was not doing much except watching TV. And one of the programs that she enjoyed or often watched was a program called Kin Makambo, which is the like realities of what's happening in Kinshasa.
Mpe na télévision wana babandaki kolakisa na kati na chaîne wana ndenge bana basi bazozwa zemi mpe bazwi zemi baboti babwaki bana kati na caniveau soit babomi bana babwaki bango ezalaki choc mpona mwasi na ngai.
So on this television program, they show a lot of fairly explicit things, and one of them was around young women that were getting pregnant and either aborting their babies or giving birth and then throwing their babies away in just terrible places around the city.
Kotala situation na bana basi bavoisin na biso kotala situation na télévision echoke mwasi na ngai mpe abandi koyebisa ngai mpe kokanisa mingi eloko nini asala mpona bana basi mosusu na Kinshasa.
So when Claudine was looking at the television show and considering ministry opportunities, she began to talk with her husband and say, there has to be something that I can do ministry-wise to meet the needs related to all this.
Noki melikanisi ye epai na biso nyonso mibale mpe na abandi kokanisa ete bon nalingi nabanda popele étude biblique kotanga maloba na Nzambe na bana basi toinvite bango na lopango na biso mpe bazalaki 12 filles parmi 12 filles ezalaki mpe mwana na biso moko aza sikoyo awa na Boston kombo na ye Esther.
So together we decided what better way to start than to start a Bible study. And they invited a number of girls in the neighborhood to this Bible study and had it in their yard. And their oldest daughter, Esther, was part of that study. She currently lives in Boston.
E moke na moke kosala étude biblique yango bana basi yango bazali kofungwala motema po epa na mwasi kozala na confiance na ye mpe mokolo moko mwasi nanga abandi kotuna bango ete me eloko nini ezopusa bino boza bilenge mpe bozo kosala prostitution eza nini abandi kotuna bango mpe bandi kokoma discussion kati na bango.
So the more they met, the more the girls opened up to Claudine and were willing to talk about private things, things that were important to them. And Claudine, in return, one day asked them, what is it that's causing you girls to want to be involved in prostitution? Why would you do that?
Bayebiso yango ete mama tosala toteka nzoto na biso te mpona toyebi ezali mabe me toza na mbongo te baboti na biso mingi baza bachômeur ndambo na biso mpe tozotanga te tozokende na classe te toyebi eloko tosala te epe meme oyebi ke soko mwana mwasi tosenge na biloko lokola mafuta kobongisa suki kasi toza na yango te baboti mpe azopesa biso te tosala boni.
So the girls responded to Claudine simply saying that it's not our first choice that we would be prostituting ourselves. It's just that, our parents are laid off. They are not able to send us to school. We don't have things to do our hair or, even different cosmetic products, anything to look good. And so this is their way to do that.
etumisaki Claudine mpe ayebisi ngai me adeside mpo ye aza couturier ayebi kotonga mpe alobi toyaki na mashine mibale na Kinshasa oyo ya biso personnel adeside kokamata yango mpe kobanda kolakisa bango bobele na oyo mpe aza na yango mpe abandi kolakisa bango ndenge nini ya kotonga bilamba.
So after they discussed this reality, they said, we have a couple of sewing machines. And so Claudine, who is a sewer, said, yeah, why don't we do this? And they took the 2 sewing machines they had and started teaching the young girls how to sew and how to be able to make something for themselves.
Kasi ntango bandaki kolakisa bango nombre na bana basi ebandaki koguma te directement bazoya na parcelle na biso mpe tomoni de 12 ezokoma 20 ezokoma 25 ezokoma 30.
So as soon as they opened the doors to sewing, the 12 went to 20, the 20 went to 30, and before they knew it, there was no more space in their yard.
Todeside ete tokamata $200 na ntango wana ezalaki mwa mbongo ebele kolue ndako moko espace mosusu mpona bango mpo ezali bien te kotala bato bazotala bana basi koya mingi epai na biso eza malamu te mpe tozwaki esika moko mpona bango.
So they pulled 200 out of their pockets every month and started renting a building. They realized that the neighbors were watching tons of girls walk onto their property, and they said, this is probably not a good thing. So they ended up renting a place where they could meet, and things started to change.
Kasi ntango tozwi esika wana mpe Claudine tosengi namna bato mpe tobandi kobongisa korependre yango kokoma likolo na yango Tabitha esika na kolakisa bana basi mosala maboko ebandi kokamwisa bato na quartier bolingi kosala awa nini.
So they started fixing up this building. They were starting to paint it, and they even put Tabitha Center ministry on the top of it and at the entry. And the neighbor people were starting to look and see what was going on and said, what are you guys doing?
Mpe motuna bazali kotuna mingi toyebaki te nzokande esika oyo ezwamaki mpona kobandisa Tabitha ezalaki boîte de nuit esika na kodétruire vie na bana basi bazoya kobina butu mobimba kolongwa bilamba tu na nzoto na bango kobina nu kosepelisa mibali mpe oyebi suite oyo ekosalema na butu yango.
So they had no idea, but the neighbors informed them that, hey, this has been a nightclub up until now. And they were very surprised when they found out what it was that they were going to be doing there. But the girls up until then had been going into this building and undressing and doing all sorts of crazy things there at the nightclub. And so they started thinking about the reality of all of that.
Claudine nda ayokaki oyo liboso ntango azongi na ndako ayebisi ngai directement nayebisi epai na ete oyo eza nzambe.
So Claudine came back home after one day and she said, you know, this is very clearly something from the Lord.
Pe normalement vision na ye ezalaki bobele kozala na centre moko mpona kolakisa bana basi na lisungi na jimi wazotraduire nga sikawa kopesa ye toli mpe na rite global ezali multiplication nde abandi kobongola ma vision na ye ete oli na centre moko ekoma 1000 centre na Kinshasa.
Wow.
So we started talking with Claudine about the future of the ministry, and I've been involved with them in ministry now for over 20 years, 25 years almost. And so we started looking at, you know, how can we make this more? How can we do this better? And so I asked Claudine, what, rather than just making this one building, what if we were to have 1,000 centers like this in Kinshasa?
Meme ntango yango nde ezalaki te tozalaki na conférence monene tobongizaki mpona bapasteur mpe balider na rite global mosusu bayaki mpe balingi kotala jimi mpe azalaki balingi kotala Tabitha ndenge ebandisi mpo nazokopesa sango chaque fois kati na update na ngai mpe bayeba tali babondeli mpe balobi ete nzambe tolingi ete apartir na awa centre moko epanza na kati na Kinshasa mobimba mpe toinvite Claudine na États-Unis mpo apesa vision na baeglize awa.
So the leaders of Reach Global at that time had a conference that they were going to be part of there in Kinshasa, they were excited to be able to see the first Tabitha Center and went there and prayed for the center and the people there that were part of that. And at that time, asked the Lord's blessing upon that center that it would be multiplied throughout the city.
Hmm.
And it was a kind of a historic day. Shortly after that, that Claudine came to the U.S. to be able to share that vision.
Oui, na centre moko, lelo ezali pene kokoma 300 centres, 287 centres, avec plus ou moins 7000 filles oyo ezotravaille na bango.
Oh,
So from that one center, since that very beginning, we currently now have 297 centers throughout the city in churches all over the city, and it's reaching approximately 7,000 women
now
every day.
this
Yeah.
is amazing. From one center to 297.
Mhm.
And so I just want to mention that Joy and I have been following this with great interest. And those who listen to the Eden podcast know that we're True 316 Foundation. So just keep in mind, number 297 is where they are right now. And in a few more, where will they arrive except Tabitha Center number 316?
Mhm.
So look, we'll keep that in mind. And now let's get back to your story. I want to know more. And then in a little bit, we're going to hear some specific stories from Claudine herself. Okay, there we
Yeah.
go.
Merci mingi.
So some more. So, yeah. Okay. Well, she's going to go right now. Thank you.
Yeah, might as well go right into it, I guess.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, he was at the tail end of what he's been doing.
Well, we have Claudine Selenga with us now, and she's the founder of the Tabitha Center. So her vision was, let's help these young women who are needing help in our own house, in our own yard. And first there were 12, and then there were 20, and then there were 30, and then you bought a nightclub, didn't know it was a nightclub, and put up the sign saying, handcrafts, teaching and training, etc. So can you tell us more? What does a woman do when she comes in? How long is she with you? Does she take a course? Does she graduate? What do you teach? And then could you tell us maybe a couple of personal stories about these young women?
Come kulimbula processus na mwasi so ya koti na centre ti asisa.
Soki toyambi bana basi bo bazowuta na bamilie différent pe
Everybody translates differently. So, yeah, the women come from all over the city, and when they come to the center,
pe soki baye tozalaka na bakuro deja tosi tobongisaki yango.
we have courses that we have prepared for each woman as she comes to the center.
Toza na cours ya encadrement spirituel eza sikoyo misato.
So we have 3 courses around the discipleship theme.
Toza na choisir la vie, toza na valeur de la vie humaine, pe toza na chemin de l'espoir.
So we have these 3 courses are the sanctity of human life, choose life, and the role of the Holy Spirit in the life of a believer.
Formation na biso eza mpona 3 jours pe plus ou moins 5 heures du temps par jour. Sikoyo tosalaka soki bana baye premier jour neti lundi, toza na 1 heure liboso wana tokozwa mpona formation ya encadrement spirituel.
So the women meet 3 times a week, and each time they meet, it's around 5 hours. It's a significant commitment. And these women, when they come together, the first hour or so is spent doing the spiritual training or spiritual discipleship training.
Tolingaka kozwa bango semaine mobimba te po objectif bien que eza évangélisation mais tozoprésente plus formation professionnelle po kekimisa bango te mpe tosalaka oyo encadrement spirituel ezalaka une fois par semaine.
So the one thing that these women have come for is to be able to learn a trade that will provide them some source of income. So we want to make sure that the spiritual dynamic is the first thing that happens in the week, but the remainder of the week during the times together, the women are learning either how to sew or do hair styling or the various things that they're able to teach them.
Loka programme na biso eza mpona 9 mois tozosala premier livre tosaka na yango 3 mois, deuxième livre ezaka mwa munene nde tokosala na yango ba 5 mois, pe oyo asuka tobongisaka pe tozosala tozwi poso moko mobimba pe tosisi yango mba moko.
So of the spiritual training, one book lasts about 3 months and another is about 5 months. And then they have, on the sanctity of human life, they have a focus of about a week straight where they focus exclusively on that material.
Formation nde nalobaki eza mpona 9 mois soki basisi bake stage, pe après stage tozalaka na test oyo topesaka bango, pe après baoyo bazotravaille malamu tosali graduation mpona bango, pe baoyo batop topesi bango bakado.
So the training is about 9 months long, and after that they have practical application of their whatever it is that they learn, their skill, and they go and apply it either with someone or typically under someone's supervision. And then after that, they come back and they're tested to find out how well they have learned their skill, and if they are good enough, they graduate. For those who are among the top of the point getters for their area of study, they end up getting like a sewing machine or various things that can help them to start a business.
So that's quite a program. So you got a year. They come through the program. They learn about the Lord, about themselves, about the sanctity of human life. There's just all kinds of ways you're helping and training them. And of course, when they're there, I hope people can picture what this is. They're meeting probably in a local church in these different locations. So you're partnering with different local churches, and the sewing machines are ones that I'm used to because Joy and I, we were there. We've been there in Congo many times, many years. And these are hand cranked sewing machines. So you don't have to worry about plugging it in. So they learn how to hand crank, and then they learn how to feed the cloth and to do all the designs. And as I showed earlier, this is one of the pieces of handiwork that was done. And here's the word, Tabitha Center. Got a nice inner lining, etc. So I'm looking forward to using this. You gave this to us just as you visited our home the other day. So this costs money. How do you you can't just give away sewing machines and have people working to train these people. How do you support the work? Do they come in and they pay tuition? How bakofuta nandenge nini pona kurwana?
Oui, soki bana baye d'abord bana biso eza bana oyo baza na moyen mingi te, me tosengaka bango kopesa pe mwa mbongo moke mpona ke esalisa kobongisa bamashine, esalisa mpona kopesa transport na bao bazolakisa. Me avant ke bapesa mbongo tosengaka balakisi kosala réunion na bana pe bango moko bapesa prix oyo bakoza capable na kofuta yango. Bazopesa mbongo na pe mpona kovalorize formation na bango. Pe biso soki tosali partenariat na centre topesa kaka bamateriel, topesa bamashine, babible, biloko bilamba esili, pe centre eza autonome. Donc chaque centre ezogere biloko wana eza autonome, ekogere bambongo bana bazopesa koutilize yango mpona kobongisa bamashine pe tozosala bongo na bongo.
Okay, so when the girls come to the center, the teachers gather together with them, and most of them, or the young ladies, are incapable of providing much money, if any at all. But they sit with them and they figure out how much it is that they could contribute each week, just a little bit to help offset expenses of repairing the machines and buying material and sewing and thread and stuff. So that there is this ongoing provision of resource to keep the centers going. And up until now, it's proven to work quite well. The initiation or the initial outlay of funds needed to be able to purchase sewing machines, Bibles, other things to get the program started in one of these churches is about $1,800 now. And it allows them to be able to have the things that they need. But then after it's started, the girls or the people that are there, along with the teachers who are predominantly donating their time for this, it just keeps going.
So it turns out to be self-supporting once you prime the pump and get it going.
Yep.
Wow. $1,800 to start one center.
Mm-hmm.
So you have plenty of money to start all these centers. You've got, bongo mingi.
Usando mbongo ebele po bobandisa ba centre.
toza na mbongo ebele te
Uh-oh.
mbongo ezouta na baeglize mingimingi ezouta na baeglize na biso awa na États-Unis baeglize na FCA oyo ezosalisa biso na Congo kuna na misala tozosala.
So the majority of the funds are coming from evangelical free churches here in the United States that partner with us in starting up centers. It's not out of the reach of a lot of individuals, and we've had over the years a lot of people that have helped launch centers as under the name of their family or whatever. But yeah, the resources we actually have a very long line of people that are waiting to have centers installed, and so we're continually looking for more people to help support these.
So can you tell us a story or two about one young woman or another young woman and how this changed her life?
Okay. Oui, toza na bahistoire ebele pe nazoloba nano oyo ya Nana aza mwana mwasi oyo abalaki pe mobali na ye babotaki bana mibale me na nsima mobali ayaki kotika ye pe akendaki na Europe.
So we have a lot of stories. That's one thing that we do is collect stories of transformation in these women's lives. And one I'd like to share with you is about Nana. And she was married, they had 2 children. And after a while, her husband left and moved to Europe.
Nana ntango mobali na ye akei na Kinshasa azaki kosufri mingi pe atraversaki na Congo Brazza mpona koluka ndeni na kolanda mobali na ye.
So Nana was really suffering and struggling trying to support the 2 kids that she had, and decided that she would go to Congo Brazzaville to see how she could get to Europe to be able to follow her husband to find him.
Me ntango akomi kuna demarche yango mpe elongaki te pe azalaki kaka ya Congo Brazza elekaki susu oyo azalaki nango na Kinshasa.
So when she went to Central African Republic, failed at trying to be able to find her husband and find out where he was. And in fact, her time there in the Congo Brazzaville, excuse me, where she was at was far worse actually than her situation in Kinshasa.
Akotaki na kati ya makambo ebele ya kilikili kolinga mibali kosala misala epa na bato makambo ebele oyo amekaki yango. Pe alobi alali na butu pe aye kolota mutu moko azoyebisa eke azonga Kinshasa po eza na mama moko kuna azosalisa bana basi pe azonga Kinshasa epa na mama na kosalisa ye.
So things got really bad for her. She was looking for any way possible to make money and was following after men to try to produce some sort of income. And one night she was sleeping and had a dream that someone was telling her to go back to Kinshasa, that there's a woman there that has the capacity to help her, and that she should go look for her.
me alobi ntango alamuki loko ezalaki na kaka ndoto akipe nango mpenza te azalaki kosaka makambo na ye wana ti eleki basanza pe après adeside ke azonga kaka po pasi elekaki.
So she woke up the next morning and thought, "Oh, that's a stupid dream," and so she continued living the way that she had been living. But after a couple of months, it got so hard. She said, "I'm going back to Kinshasa."
Pe ntango azongaki na Kinshasa wana tobandaki Tabitha nano ewumeli te ezalaki na 2014 pe aye place aza nango moninga moko ayebisi ke tala bauti kofungola centre moko ya sika kuna bon soki okolinga koya kolanda formation.
So she got back. It was near the beginning of the launch of Tabitha Center, and in 2014, and so Nana came back and met with somebody who told her that there was this Tabitha Center ministry and that she should try it out.
Pe ntango ayaki abandaki d'abord na coupe couture mais azalaki mpe na likaba yango mpenza mingi te. Après toye kotia formation ya hotellerie pe aye kokota hotellerie.
So she started with sewing, and she did okay, but not real well. And it was just around that time that they were starting to develop the Tabitha Center ministry even further, so that it was more than just sewing. And one of the things that they began teaching was cooking and helping women to know how to work in the context of a restaurant.
Pe na ntango wana ata azongaki me azalaki na kati ya mobulu kasi à travers ba formation na biso tozopesa esalisaki ye mingi pe akamataki décision ke akosala lisusu makambo ndenge bazalaki kolinga mibali pa pamba te.
So as she got into the program, she was, despite the fact that her lifestyle outside of the program had not changed at all, that she was looking for men and doing all sorts of things that she now regrets. She started looking at the things that were happening in the courses that she was learning from and the Bible studies, and it changed her life radically, and she made a decision to never go back to that previous lifestyle.
Wow.
Ntango asisaki classe na ye ezalaki ntango tozalaki na séminaire pe tozwaki ye na séminaire abandaki kotravaille wana ti ntango mpe séminaire ekufi Nzambe asali ye grâce pe azwi mosala sikoyo na MPH na Kinshasa.
So she was at the ministry center that we had been using there for both Reach Africa as well as the Tabitha Center ministry. And after she graduated, she started working there, but then the ministry center it stopped, and we started using some other ways to advance the ministry. But yeah, she ended up leaving there and going to a guest house, missionary guest house, and began working there.
Sikoyo bomoi na ye eza na molongo mpe Nzambe asalisi ke papa na bana na ye abengi bana sikoyo bana baza elongo na ye na Europe pe azwi mwa stabilité sikoyo.
So the Nana continued working and developed a lot of stability there at the guest house, and the husband ended up asking for the kids to go to Europe with him, and now she's alone, but her life is like really, really good, and she's in a good spot.
Ama témoignage ya liboso témoignage ya mibale eza ya mwana mwasi oyo olobi napesaki wana eza récent toza na ye sikoyo awutaki kosisa classe mbula ya mibale.
So yeah, this story is about the second story here is about a young lady that just finished school just this last July.
Kombo na ye Ufia bazalaki na Kinshasa na libota me après papa na bango aye kokende Angola.
So her Ophia is the name of the young lady. She had been in Kinshasa, had grown up there, and her father ended up going to Angola.
Oui, papa amemaki bango libota mobimba pe bakendaki po azwaki mosala malamu kuna na Angola.
So the whole family followed the father, went with him, and he had a great job there.
Kuna basombaki ndako papa azalaki kotangisa bango ti eyaki kosala ete papa abeli makasi.
The father had a great job, was busy working. The kids were going to school. Things were really good. And then one day the father got sick.
Ntango abeli mama amonaki ke pasi lokola ezosila te amema mobali na ye na Kinshasa bazonga esika libota mobimba ezali.
The mother decided at that point that it would be best if the family returned to Kinshasa, where they would have more care from the family, and so they brought the whole family back to Kinshasa.
Me kozonga na nzela eyaki kosala ke mobali akufi na nzela.
Oh,
The husband on the return trip passed away.
Pe amonaki komema ebembe mpo bazalaki kozonga na mutuka moya akomisa ebembe na Kinshasa eza te mpo ezalaki cher mingi na mboka oyo mobali akufaki asengaki bato wana pe bakundaki ebembe.
Rather than bringing the body all the way back to Kinshasa, the transport would have been way too costly. So they decided to bury him where he died in a village along between Angola and Kinshasa.
Pe mama azwi bana bazongi kokoma Kinshasa, libota na mobali baye koloba ete mama mwasi wana nde abomi mobali na ye.
The wife ended up bringing the children to Kinshasa, and the husband's family accused then the wife of killing her husband.
Pe mpo nango bakei baoblige mama bazwi biloko nyonso oyo eza na Kinshasa, eza ndako oyo eza na Kinshasa bateki bazwi mbongo bakei pe bateki biloko nyonso na Angola na ndako biloko nyonso na kati ya ndako.
The family ended up taking everything that was the husband and wife's. The family of the husband ended up selling the house that they had in Kinshasa, selling the house that they had in Angola, and all of their goods, and sold it, took the money, and left the wife and the two girls with nothing.
Mama atikaki aza na esika ya kokende te, bana baza na esika ya kofanda te pe mama ayaki kozonga na kati na libota na ye na bana. Me ntango bakomi kuna azalaki incapable na kofutela bana classe.
The mother ended up going back with her own family because there was no place to live for either she or her kids, and there was no way for them to go to school. The mother didn't have any money either.
Eye kosala ke camarade na papa na bango moko aye kozwa mwana na ye ya mobali ya liboso mpo bana bazaki mayele, me azwi mwana wana pe abandaki kofutela ye université kasi bandambo nyonso bazalaki kotanga te.
So there was just one in the family that was taken by an extended family member and put through university, but the rest of the kids were not able to do anything.
Nde esalaki ke mwana mwasi wana kofia azalaki na kanda makasi mpo amonaki ke bolingo eza te pe alingaki kokende losambo te pe ayinaki presque motu nyonso.
From all of that, Ophia, the character in this story, was very angry about life, about the realities of all that had taken place, of all they had lost, and so she refused to go to church, refused to engage with the family. She was in a hard spot.
Moko pasteur moko na biso azaki na centre pe ainvitaki ye lokola azofanda kaka na ndako azotanga te aya koyekola formation.
Local pastor, one who had a Tabitha Center ministry at his church, ended up getting in touch with her. He said, since you're not going to school, since you're just sitting at home, why don't you come to the Tabitha Center?
Pe ayaki ntango akomi na kati ya formation lokola tobandaka na priere ata soki eza mokolo ya étude biblique te, me avant nyonso bayembaka nzembo baprie nde bakoti na mosala pe ntango nyonso madame abandaki kosepela na ye mingi mpo aza souple na koyeba mosala pe abandaki koresponsabilize neti lokola mwa kapita na baninga.
So Ophi.
Okay.
Ophi ended up going to the Tabitha Center, and she was very responsive to this training. She loved the Bible time. She loved being able to pray. She was very receptive to the learning how to sew. And in fact, so much so that the teacher of the sewing ended up putting her kind of in charge of other girls so that she
Wow.
could help teach them as well.
Yeah.
Ebandaki kochange vision na ye akomi mpe kokende losambo mpe moke na moke ti ntango basisi formation aye kobima la première na baninga alobaki mpe discours na nkombo ya baninga mpo aza vraiment intelligente mpe toye kopesa ye likabo na machine mpe kobanda wana mpe azongeli eglize mpe ayambi yesu mpe aye kozwa baptême mpe akomi sikoyo monitrice na ekodimi nde tobengaka kuna.
So the whole story just keeps getting better with Ophi ended up doing really well in the Tabitha Center ministry, graduated with very high marks, received a sewing machine, went back to her church, and she got involved in working with kids in Sunday school. And it had just before that, then even before all of that, comes to know the Lord and was baptized and really engaged with the life of the church there and continues to be so.
So this is amazing. You're talking about 12 young women that came to your house.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know this young lady. Here she's over another country. She comes back. It's kind of like Ruth and Orpah and all of these things that are happening. And the Lord is using this. And then I think Selenga said 7,000 women have gone through this program now in the 10 years that you've been operating.
No, it's 7,000 currently.
Oh, so plus then however many that's added up to.
Yeah, so 7,000 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was another 6,500 or 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, so multiply it by 20.
Yeah.
Or 10. 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
Continuons.
Oui, na ngai nalobaka sikoyo aza moko na balakisi na biso mpo toza sikoyo na periode ya stage professionnel mpo na baoyo deja basisi formation mpe ye nde sikoyo azwi centre moko mpe azo encadre bango.
So to top it all off, Ophi is now a teacher at one of our Tabitha centers. And God continues to use her. What a beautiful story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, so the True 316 Foundation, and that's the home of the Eden podcast. What we would like to do is encourage people, if they'd like to get involved, you can go to our website, tru316.com, and click on the donor box there. And there's a one-time gift selection. You can put that in. And if you'd like to help out to start Tabitha Center number 316, we would very much like to encourage you to do that, to be involved, and it'll end up getting the equipment, the sewing machines, the cloth, the materials. Plus, there's also, they're taught other skills, and the programs have multiplied. Now there's just not the one program with the Tabitha Center, but when the women would come, they would bring their children. And that would be quite disruptive, the little kids running around. And so now there's a whole children's ministry program. And then the men in the churches were saying, well, what about us? And so now there's a men's program. And then there's a church planting program. And there's just so much going on, all because you were available. And you said, you know, what is it that you want me to do, Lord? And the Lord said, what is that you have in your hand, Claudine? And you said, well, I got a house and I have my skills as a seamstress. And you put that into the Lord's hand, and he's been blessing. Oh, that's fantastic. That's just fantastic. Yeah. So Joy and I and our daughter Christy and our grand twins, we were all talking French at the restaurant, and the people were kind of looking at us the other day as you guys were coming through town. And we're just so proud of you and so pleased. We've known you for 30 years, I suppose. You know, the ministry was getting going when we were first missionaries in your area, and now what we're doing. So our encouragement is that if people want to be involved in this kind of a ministry, and the way you and Selenga are ministering together and the friendship with Jim and his family and all the other team members there. We're so happy to be able to bring you here to the Eden podcast. So we're going to say merci Mingi, and
Merci.
we'll stop now. But if people would like to know more, just simply give me you can shoot an email to us, bruce@true316.com. And if you have any other further questions, let us know, and we'll pass them on to Claudine and Selenga in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Kinshasa is not just a little city. It's how many millions of people right now?
70 million.
17 million people in the capital city of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And now it's spreading even over, crossing the borders, and you've even started up a couple in the next country to the north. Oh, there's so much more going on. But we'll stop for now, and we'll thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce.
True 316 Foundation is the home of the Eden podcast. Join us for $3.16 a month or more. Let's true the verses on the key passages on women and men. Go to true316.com/partner. True 316 is strengthening and encouraging many, and we're getting stories every day of lives changed through our ministry. We're the home of the Eden podcast, and we're getting the word out that God didn't curse Eve or Adam or limit woman in any way. Our volunteer help is wonderful, and we grow stronger with each new true partner who gives to the True 316 Foundation so that we can cover the costs to do the technical work of the Eden podcast, to coordinate our True School workshops like the 2-week Eden workshop on Genesis 2 and 3, and to make the True 316 Foundation function in its outreach to scholars and students around the world. You can give now with a one-time gift. And better still, you can join now and become a monthly donor. We call our monthly donors our true partners. Please join now by going to true316.com/partner.